gonna bake a cake, Gracie. We're gonna bake a cake. Yeah, you can't have it though, but you can be there. Yeah. Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make a mirror glazed cake. Oh no. Pro tip, make sure you have enough parchment paper before you start. We're gonna be making 2 cakes so that we can both decorate them. That's Kendon over there. So we have 2 greased pans with parchment paper there for you. We're going to be making Guinness cakes with Kahlua buttercream frosting, and we are going to coat it with a white chocolate marble glaze. One of the other things we don't have for our Guinness cakes is Guinness. So instead we're using Barclay's Peanut Butter Cup Porter, which is a dark beer that was recommended to me by Kendon. It tastes really nice. You can use any kind of dark beer, and if you are not of age, you can ask a parent to help you, or just make a chocolate cake. It'll taste just as good. So to get started, go ahead and take 2 cups of a dark beer of your choice and pour it into a saucepan with 20 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Make sure that the heat is medium-low, not too hot, because you don't want the beer to boil and you don't want the butter to burn. It's okay if your butter looks a little lumpy. We were a little freaked out when our butter started doing this, but it didn't affect the final outcome of our cake. So while the butter is melting, in a separate bowl, go ahead and add 1.5 cups of unsweetened cocoa. And then to it, you're gonna add 4 cups of powdered sugar. And once your butter beer mixture is ready and melted, you can go ahead and whisk it into the dry ingredients and just stir them until they're all mixed. This part can actually get kind of tedious. You're gonna need to keep whisking for a while until all the lumps are out. The consistency is not gonna look like cake batter, so it's okay if it looks really watery. It's supposed to be, but you know, be ready for an arm workout. Anyway, yeah, my arms got really tired, so Kendon's gonna take over now and I'm gonna eat some snacks. Next, in a small bowl, you're going to combine 1.5 cups of sour cream, 4 large eggs, and 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. Go ahead and whisk all that together, and then once you're ready, go ahead and combine that to the Guinness mixture that you have from before. Once you're done with that, you're going to add 4 cups of flour and 5 teaspoons of baking soda. Mix it all together until it's smooth and pour it into the pans from earlier. At 350 degrees, it's going to need to bake for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour if you're baking in a larger pan than we are. Just do the toothpick test and make sure that it is firm in the middle. It's a different day now. So we had to go to dinner, so we had to pause our baking adventure. So our cakes are cooled, it's the next day now, and we're going to make the frosting today. Buttercream frosting is a fairly simple process. Start with 1 softened stick of unsalted butter. Leave it out for at least an hour, because if it's not that soft, this part is going to be really hard. So keep going until it becomes kind of like whipped butter. And then to it, you can add about 2.5 cups of powdered sugar. And then make sure that the butter is completely like fluffy before you add the sugar, because again, this will be hard otherwise. And then at the very end, if you would like to, you can add 3 tablespoons of Kahlua. And once your frosting is ready, you're gonna go ahead and just cover a thin layer on top of the cakes that you made. It's going to be really, really important as you're frosting these cakes that it's as smooth as possible, because any lumps that are there in the frosting now will make it hard for the glaze to flow over them easily, and it's going to make it not look as smooth as it could be. Once you've frosted the cakes and made them as smooth as humanly possible, you're going to stick them in the freezer until they are completely frozen. Not a little cold, not really cold, but it has to be completely frozen to the point where you can pick up the cake and kind of move it around like a solid piece of wood, because that's what's going to make it possible for you to do the cool patterns with the glaze later on. So don't skip the step. If you need something to do while you wait, go and find yourself a puppy and play. To make the mirror glaze, you're going to need 2 envelopes of powdered gelatin, 1 cup of water, 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, 7 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, and 12 ounces of good, delicious white chocolate. Try to find the nicest white chocolate you can because the quality of the chocolate will absolutely affect how good it tastes. 2 packets of gelatin should be about 15 grams. If your packets are a different size or if you're using a different kind of gelatin, just measure until you have 15 grams of gelatin to work with. Place the gelatin in 1/2 cup of cold water and set it aside for about 10 minutes for the gelatin to bloom. While the gelatin is getting ready, over medium heat, go ahead and put the remaining 1/2 cup of water, sugar, and condensed milk in a saucepan. And go ahead and bring it to a simmer, stirring it constantly so that the mixture is hot but not boiling. Once it's simmering, turn the heat off and mix in the gelatin and just mix it all together. Then, in a separate bowl, just put the chocolate and pour this liquid over it. The liquid is warm enough that it'll melt the chocolate without burning it. And then you're going to end up with a white base that you can then add food coloring to make any combination of colors that you would like to pour over your cake. Once you've got some colors that you want to try, go ahead and take your cake out of the freezer. Again, double check, make sure it's completely frozen. And then if you have a cake stand or something similar, you can use that. I don't, so I'm using a bowl. You just need something to elevate the cake off of the ground so that the glaze can pour off the side instead of clumping around the side. Because the cake is frozen, it should be pretty easy to work with. Again, it should feel like you're holding a thing of wood. It's not flopping around anywhere. And then just put it onto a surface where the glaze can pour off. I also have a baking sheet underneath that's catching any of the dripping frosting glaze off of it. Depending on your specific batch and the viscosity of the glaze and how you frosted it and whether it was smooth, ours, as you can see, was still a little lumpy on the sides. It's just going to be a different experience, so just play around with it, pour it over, see what happens. For the cakes that we made, it was a little hard to get it over the sides, but the tops were pretty smooth, so it was still a fun experience. This is honestly as satisfying as playing with Play-Doh. As you can see, the glaze looks really nice in the sun. I'm not done yet, but I wanted to start with a base of a yellow and orange color and then put other colors and stripes over it, just so I could get a feel for how the glaze pours and how the colors interact with each other and how they kind of melt into each other. This was extremely satisfying. In the videos that I've seen of other people making marble glaze cakes, they always put it in a pitcher and then just pour the whole thing over the cake, but I'm not trying to clean that up, so that's why I'm using a spoon. It really minimizes the amount of glaze that ends up off of the cake, but also, bonus, it helps you be a little bit more precise if you're trying to go for a more detailed design. So this is what my cake looked like after I was done. I actually don't mind that it's just dripping on the side and didn't get covered entirely. I still think it looks really cool and it was really fun to make, and it kind of reminds me of this gas giant with all of these swirling clouds everywhere and some alien planet where everything is really brightly colored. For the second cake that Kendon was going to decorate, he actually had to go on a camping trip, so he was kind enough to let Connor decorate his cake for him, and we just sent him pictures, and Connor was kind enough to do all of the dishes afterwards. The cakes aren't ready to be eaten quite yet. They do need to be refrigerated until the gelatin sets. But afterwards, you've got this delicious cake that looks really cool and was really fun to make. I hope you'll give this a try, even if you don't have all the equipment or expertise you think you need. We just kind of went for it, and it was so much fun, even if it didn't look like a traditional marble glaze cake. If you give it a try, let me know how it goes in the comments. Thanks for watching!